I'm going to be matchmaking every single main card fighter after UFC 325. I know I'm 2 weeks late for this video, but it's because I was going to upload it the fight week of 325, or like the week after, I guess, and I was very late on that. And then I realized that there was no fights this weekend, so I was going to upload it for Saturday for the night with no fights. And now here we are on Sunday because I didn't upload the video yesterday, and I'm going to be very late for this. But let's just get right into it, starting with Jamie Mullarkey. He got submitted by Quillan Salkilld, and I think he should just get cut from the UFC. He's not good. He won his last fight before Salkilld, but against Rolando Bedoya, I think it is, who's another guy who has like no wins in the UFC. So I think we could just cut him. I don't think anyone would care too much about that. Moving on to the guy that beat him, Quillan Salkilld. He's been looking great. A lot of people want him to get somebody ranked. I wouldn't mind him getting somebody ranked, but I think Ludovic Klein would be a sick fight. Someone like Ludovic Klein, someone like Mateusz Rebecki, Chris Duncan. I said this a lot in my recap video, but somebody like that would be super entertaining. And if he can get the win, it would definitely prove he deserves somebody in the rankings. Ludovic Klein's coming off of a pretty close loss to Gamrot, and Gamrot's in the rankings. Gamrot's pretty good. So if Salkilld could beat him more convincingly than Gamrot did, then it would definitely earn him a shot at the rankings, and I think he deserves it. You know, a lot of people are talking about the Moicano fight. He could take that Moicano fight on short notice. I wouldn't mind that. I really like Moicano, so I don't really want to see Moicano getting knocked out by Salkilld, but I think this would be a sick fight. Next, we got Tai Tuivasa, who lost to Tallison Teixeira by decision, and I think we should just cut him too. Obviously, you know, this was made right after the card, so I thought they should have cut Tai. I don't think they have, and I don't think they will. So I guess his next matchup, I don't even know. I really don't even know who you could give him next. Give him like a Josh Hokett or like a Steven Asplund or something like that. But I really don't know. I think he should just get cut. He's on a 6-fight losing streak now. They just cut Jailton Almeida. I don't know. Yeah, Tai Tuivasa should probably just get cut from the UFC. Moving on. Tallison Teixeira, I think, should fight Ante Delija. My boy, 3 nips. I love this guy. He's goated, and I think whether he loses to Sergey Spivak or he beats him, I think you could make the Tallison Teixeira fight either way. Heavyweight's kind of a weird division, so I don't really think it matters if he wins or loses to Spivak. But this fight would be a banger. I think it would end in like a first round knockout, but after seeing Teixeira's last fight, it would probably just be a fucking terrible slugfest through 3 rounds. But who knows? It could be an entertaining fight. I think this would be a good scrap. And if Delija beats Spivak and then they do this fight, the winner would be looking for a top 5 opponent. So you never know. The winner of this could actually be in like title talks at heavyweight. That's how shit this division is. So yeah, these two going at it would be a fun fight. Moving on. Next up, we got the 2 losers from the co-main and the feature fight. We got Fiziev, who got TKO'd by Mauricio Ruffy, and we got Dan Hooker, who got TKO'd by Benoit St. Denis. I think they should just get matched up against each other. You know, they both took a decent amount of damage. They're both probably going to be looking to come back around the same time. They fought on the same card. Nothing else really to explain. They're both scrappers. You know, I think this would be a sick fight, no matter where you put it. Probably not. I don't think it would be a fight night main event or anything like that, but it would probably be just a sick scrap on the main card of a pay-per-view later this year. I know I did match up Dan Hooker with Paddy Pimblett on my last matchmaking video, which I don't mind that matchup either. Dan Hooker versus Paddy Pimblett could be really fun, and then you do Fiziev versus somebody, you know, anybody, to be honest. You could do Fiziev versus Gamrot, Fiziev versus doesn't really matter. But I think this fight's a fun fight. They're both gonna just put in a war. I don't know who would win. I just know it would be a bloody fight, sick scrap. They're both coming off a loss. They're both probably going to want to take some time. Especially Dan Hooker should probably take a lot of time. He just took 2 bad beatings back to back. He should definitely take some time. Fiziev should probably take some time after getting knocked out. So maybe later, like at the end of this year, like November, December, or maybe early. Yeah, no, probably late this year, November, December, I could see them putting on a nice scrap. Next up, we got the winner of the featured fight. Ruffy beat Rafael Fiziev. I think this fight is a sick fight. They're probably like 99% won't do this fight because they're definitely going to try and build Paddy back up after losing. They want both of these guys at the top. They're both big stars, and they're probably not going to make this fight at all. But, come on. This fight would be insane. We just seen Paddy get beat up pretty bad by Gaethje on the feet, so it would, especially like with recency bias, most people are thinking, Paddy's cooked if like he's just going to get his ass kicked on the feet. But if Paddy can take it to the ground, he would probably easily submit Ruffy, I think, because Benoit Saint-Denis easily got him down, easily submitted him. Paddy was, he's good on the ground, but against Gaethje, he wasn't shooting as much. He wasn't able to get Gaethje down. He wasn't able to submit Gaethje at all like I thought he would be able to. So if he goes in there with Ruffy and he can't do it, he would definitely get knocked the fuck out by Ruffy. But who knows? He showed he has a good chin, so maybe he wouldn't even get knocked out by Ruffy and he could make it a scrap. But I think this fight would be sick. Paddy's probably going to take a lot of time off after that Gaethje fight, so I think not International Fight Week. I think Madison Square Garden in November, this on the pay-per-view would be phenomenal. Like, come on. This would get so many people hyped. It would be such a perfect fight. Like, this is a sick fight. I would be super hyped for this. But they're probably not going to do this fight. Paddy's probably going to fight Dan Hooker, like I said. And Ruffy is probably going to get... I don't know who they're going to give him, but he's definitely going to get a good shot up the rankings. I'm trying to think of someone that's, like, somewhat washed. Like, he might honestly just get the loser of Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. But I think Benoit Saint-Denis should get the loser of Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. He's proven that he's pretty good. I thought he was terrible after the Dustin Poirier fight and after the Moicano fight. I thought he was actually just super overhyped, and I thought he got fraud checked, and I thought he was done. But he's shown that he's really good. That Dan Hooker performance really proved that he's top tier. But I don't think he's like that Arman Sarukian level. I know a lot of people are matching him up against Arman, or maybe the winner of this fight. I don't think he's on that level yet. I still think the loser of Oliveira and Holloway is like a super high-level matchup, or like just a super high-level fighter in general. The loser of that fight is still like a very big step up for someone like Benoit or someone like Paddy. So I think, yeah, the loser of Oliveira and Holloway, if they don't retire, should fight Benoit Saint-Denis. And if Benoit can get past them, then he for sure proves that he's ready for a number one contender fight or ready for a title fight or something like that. Like, if he beats them, he'd be looking for an Arman fight. He'd be looking for an Ilya or a Gaethje, I guess, or the winner of this. Like, he'd be looking for a huge matchup. But I think he should fight the loser of Holloway and Charles. And I think the winner of Holloway-Charles should fight Arman while Gaethje fights Ilya at the White House. Next, we've made it to the main event where we got Diego Lopes, who lost to Volkanovski for the second time. And I think it's finally time we just do this fight. Was it the first fight or was it a different one? Yeah, I think, the first time Volk and Diego were supposed to fight. Yair and Diego just were going off on each other, screaming at each other the whole time. Like, it was very obvious that both of these two were more focused on each other than they were their own opponents. And it was clear to literally every single person except for the UFC that this should have been the fight to make. And the UFC fumbled it. They booked Diego versus Gene Silva. I don't think Yair has fought since then. But they booked Diego versus Gene Silva. Diego beat Gene Silva, and then they put Diego right back into a title shot for no reason. I think this is the fight to make. I think it would be sick. You know, you could do it for Noche. This would be a perfect main event for Noche. Like, there's literally, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's just such an obvious fight to make. It was so obvious the first time around. I feel like they shouldn't miss the opportunity this time. It's a sick fight. They already have beef. I don't know why they would not do this fight, but this is the perfect fight to do. Or Diego Lopes could move up to lightweight also. I think Bedtime MMA said something about that, and it is a really good idea. You know, he has lost to the champion twice. If Volk does plan on sticking around, which he probably won't, he is probably going to retire soon. But let's say Volk sticks around for a few more years, Diego is going to definitely stay at the top, and he's not going to get a third shot at Volk like they did with Holloway. So him moving up to lightweight for a BMF title or something like that could be really entertaining, but I still think there's a lot of fights for Diego at featherweight, and I do hope he stays at featherweight. I want to see the Yair fight. I would like to see an Evloev rematch, maybe a Lerone Murphy fight, maybe a Gene Silva rematch down the line. You know, like, there's a lot of fights for Diego at featherweight, but if he does decide to go to lightweight, I wouldn't mind that either. Moving on to the final fight. Volk taking on Lerone Murphy or Evloev. The winner, you know, they finally did announce this fight. It is official for March, I think, for London. And yeah, it's the most obvious fight to make. They're both undefeated. The winner of that, I think, will be 20-0. And it will be the perfect way for Volk to end his career if he can get a win over a 20-0 guy, especially if it's Evloev. Get his get back against a Dagestani guy. I think it would be the perfect fight if he faces Evloev and beats him in his retirement fight. I think it would be a perfect fight. It would be amazing. And then if he does retire, our boy Diego can come back and get the belt. But yeah. I think that, you know, these are some pretty obvious fights to make, especially the last two. Diego versus Yair, very obvious. This fight, it's a clear number one contender fight. They made it, obviously. I'm pretty sure the UFC know what they're doing with this one. I don't know how they could fumble it. And yeah, hopefully by the end of this year, we could see Volk versus the winner of this, maybe December. You know, end of the year off with a Volk retirement. That would be insane. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry that it's super late. And I'll see you guys in March, I guess, for UFC 326.